03, 16 hours. Western Pacific Ocean. The ocean was black and endless. Under a moonless sky, the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group cut a silent path through international waters. From above, the formation looked like a moving island. An aircraft carrier flanked by destroyers, cruisers, and submarines spread across miles of ocean. Everything was routine. Too routine. Inside the carrier's Combat Direction Center, radar screens glowed softly. Operators monitored airspace, surface traffic, and subsurface contacts with practiced calm. Then one technician frowned. "Sir, I'm seeing something strange." The tactical action officer leaned closer. "What kind of strange?" "Low observable contact. Barely registering. Comes and goes. No transponder, no thermal bloom." The officer frowned. "Could be atmospheric clutter." The technician shook his head slowly. "No, sir. This thing is staying with us." 0324 hours. First shadow. The contact vanished again, then reappeared, always at the same distance, always trailing the carrier's wake. "Range?" the officer asked. "Approximately 90 nautical miles. Altitude? Fluctuating. It's adapting." That word landed hard. Adapting. The carrier group had escorts watching every direction. AWACS aircraft patrolled overhead. Satellites tracked everything larger than a fishing boat, and yet something was there. Close enough to watch, far enough to hide. The captain was notified. He didn't look alarmed, but he didn't dismiss it either. "Log it," he said quietly. "Increase passive monitoring. No active radar." If it was hostile, he didn't want to announce awareness. 06 hours. Day 1. As the sun crept over the horizon, FA-18S launched for routine patrols. Their sensors swept the skies. Nothing. Infrared picked up nothing unusual. Radar returned clean. But below the threshold of certainty, the contact remained, ghosting in and out like a shadow just beyond peripheral vision. The intelligence officer spoke up. "Sir, this profile matches something we've been warned about." The captain looked at him. "Chinese stealth UAV program?" The officer nodded. "High altitude, low observable, long endurance platforms, designed for persistent tracking." If this is one, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. 11 hours. Day 1. Analysts aboard the cruiser escorting the carrier began cross-checking satellite feeds. One image stopped them cold. A faint distortion in the sky, barely visible unless you knew what to look for. It wasn't a plane, it wasn't a cloud. It was a shape that didn't want to be seen. "Enhance contrast," one analyst said. The image sharpened. Someone whispered, "My God." Confirmation. Day 1. The intelligence officer walked into the captain's ready room with a tablet in hand. "Sir, we believe we're being shadowed by a Chinese stealth reconnaissance drone, possibly an advanced hail platform." "How long?" the captain asked. The officer swallowed. "Unknown. Could be hours, could be days." The captain leaned back. "Purpose? Persistent targeting, electronic mapping, carrier pattern analysis. In simpler terms, it was learning how to kill them." 0130 hours. Day 2. The drone never left. It didn't approach. It didn't retreat. It simply followed. 75 miles back, then 60, then 80. Always adjusting, always watching. Electronic warfare officers reported faint data bursts, tight beam transmissions aimed toward the Chinese mainland. It was feeding someone. The carrier strike group had become a moving test subject. Escalation without noise. Day 2. The US could shoot it down, but they didn't. Why? Because shooting it down would confirm it existed, and confirming it existed would escalate the situation instantly. Instead, the US did something subtler. They watched it watch them. 18 hours. Day 2. Something changed. The drone's behavior shifted. It moved closer. 50 miles, then 40. Its transmissions increased. Its flight pattern tightened. This wasn't passive surveillance anymore. This was target refinement. The carrier group's intelligence cell exchanged uneasy looks. One officer muttered, "This is what it looks like before a missile test." 0420 hours. Day 3, 72 hours since first detection. The drone was still there, but now it was inside the carrier's defensive envelope. AWACS crews reported unusual interference. Satellite uplinks lagged, GPS precision degraded slightly, not enough to cause alarm, enough to send a message. The drone wasn't just watching, it was touching the network. The line approaches. Day 3. The captain gathered his senior officers. "We've tolerated this long enough," he said calmly. "What's the risk if we neutralize it?" The intelligence intelligence officer hesitated. "Sir, we don't know if it's alone." The room went quiet. If the drone was a forward sensor, then something else might already be cued. Submarines, missiles, bombers. The drone might not be the threat, it might be the trigger. 0615 hours. Day 3, the drone made its boldest move yet. It descended from high altitude down to medium level. Closer, clearer, deliberate. It wanted to be seen. A US pilot on patrol finally caught a fleeting visual. "Control, I have something. Angular. No markings. It's not blinking." The captain stared at the live feed. "Confirm hostile ISR." The answer came instantly. "Confirmed." Decision point. Day 3, the carrier group was now fully aware. So was China. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a test of will. The captain took a breath. "Transmit to Pacific Command," he said. "Chinese stealth drone has conducted continuous surveillance for 72 hours. Situation escalating." The response came back cold and measured. "Carrier group, stand by." Seconds passed, then a final message arrived. 3 words, "You are cleared." The captain looked back at the screen. The drone glided silently, unaware or pretending to be. He spoke quietly. "Execute contingency response." Around the carrier strike group, systems began to shift. Aircraft repositioned, submarines adjusted course, and somewhere far beyond the horizon, America began to move. Day 3, 0642 hours, Western Pacific. The carrier strike group changed posture without announcing it. On radar screens, nothing looked different. Formation spacing remained textbook. Air patrols continued as scheduled. To any outside observer, the USS Theodore Roosevelt and her escorts were still executing a routine transit, but beneath the surface, the entire group had shifted into counter-surveillance mode. The captain's order had been precise. Do not chase the drone. Do not illuminate it. Let it believe nothing has changed. If the drone was watching, and it was, then deception was now the weapon. 0648 hours. The net tightens. 200 miles away, a Virginia-class attack submarine altered depth and speed. Its passive sensors tracked faint disturbances in the upper atmosphere, data relayed through secure underwater networks. Above, an E-2D Advanced Hawkeye adjusted orbit, not to look for the drone, but to look past it. The assumption was simple and dangerous. If China was confident enough to shadow a US carrier for 72 hours, then the drone was not alone. It was part of a kill chain, and kill chains have links. 0655 hours. The drone's confidence grows. The stealth drone drifted closer, 30 nautical miles, then 25. It began a slow lateral sweep, mapping radar emissions, identifying escort spacing, and timing aircraft launch cycles. Chinese operators, hundreds of miles away, watched clean data flow across their screens. No interference, no challenge, no reaction. To them, it looked like success. One analyst spoke quietly. "They still haven't moved against it." The commander nodded. "They're hesitating." He smiled. "They always do." 0702 hours. A subtle shift. The first anomaly appeared inside the drone's data feed. Not a blackout, not jamming. Something worse, latency. Milliseconds at first, then seconds. Navigation corrections lagged. Sensor fusion hiccuped. The drone compensated, its onboard AI recalculating, smoothing over errors. But the errors kept coming. Chinese technicians frowned. "Check uplink integrity." "Uplink clean." "Then why is it drifting?" The drone wasn't losing control. It was being led. 0706 hours. America touches the wire. From a classified cyber operations cell thousands of miles away, a US team executed a long-prepared routine. They didn't attack the drone. They befriended it. Using harvested waveform signatures and spoofed authentication pulses, they slipped into the drone's command envelope, not to seize control outright, but to influence. The drone's AI began accepting false environmental cues, wind vectors that didn't exist, GPS micro-errors too small to flag, phantom radar reflections. To the drone, reality subtly changed. 0711 hours, the trap is set. The carrier strike group altered course by 3 degrees, barely noticeable. The drone followed. Another 2 degrees. The drone followed again. Each adjustment drew the drone farther from its optimal relay geometry, farther from supporting assets it didn't even realize it needed. Inside the carrier's CIC, an officer murmured, "It's taking the bait." The captain nodded. "Good, let it commit." 07:18 hours. The reveal. Without warning, the deception ended. A US F-35C Lightning II slipped into position above the drone's flight path. Silent, unseen, weapons cold. The drone's sensors never registered the fighter. Not because it couldn't, because it was never looking up. At the same moment, the drone's uplink went dead. Clean cut, no noise, no alarm, just silence. Chinese operators stared at frozen telemetry. Signal lost. Reacquire. Unable. No return. The commander's jaw tightened. That's not a malfunction. 07:21 hours. The end of the shadow. The F-35 pilot received a single instruction. Proceed. A short-range missile dropped silently from the bay. No contrail, no warning. The stealth drone disintegrated in a brief flash high above the sea, fragments scattering and vanishing before they ever reached the water. No debris field, no evidence, just absence. 07:24 hours. What China didn't see. The drone's destruction wasn't the message. It was the punctuation. Because while China's focus had been fixed on the carrier, America had been mapping everything else. Transmission relays, control nodes, supporting satellites, forward maritime sensors. Within minutes, those systems began failing, one by one, not explosively, quietly, as if they had never existed. 07:32 hours. The aftershock. Chinese naval units across the region reported anomalies. Unresponsive drones, frozen displays, navigation discrepancies. Nothing dramatic, nothing public, but enough to cripple confidence. A fleet that cannot see, cannot fight, and China suddenly couldn't see anything. 07:40 hours. The carrier moves on. Aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt, the captain watched the sea slide past the bridge windows. Any further contacts? Negative, sir. The strike group resumed its original course. No announcement, no show of force, no press release. The carrier didn't flee. It didn't advance. It simply continued, unbothered. Later, the classified assessment, a secure report circulated through U.S. command channels. Incident. Summary. Chinese stealth ISR drone conducted persistent surveillance of U.S. carrier strike group for 72 hours. Drone neutralized following escalation threshold. U.S. counter-surveillance and cyber dominance demonstrated. No casualties, no attribution. The final line read, "Adversary surveillance attempt failed. Strategic advantage maintained." Somewhere in the Pacific, the carrier sailed on, invisible, protected, unchallenged. And in Beijing, analysts studied a blank screen where a drone had once watched a U.S. carrier for 72 hours, never realizing that in the end, it was the drone that had been observed the entire time.